Hey, what's going on guys, John here, and today we're going to be going over some Destiny news. But before we jump into things, I ask that if you want to keep up to date on all Destiny 2 news, information, leaks, and tutorials and more, that you go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Anyways, let's jump into it. So starting off with the controversial video that came out yesterday, Luke Smith did come out on Reddit later that day, and he went on to state the following. On a long enough time horizon, it sure would be sweet to have all the supers in Destiny use the same system. The Stasis system is very cool and we like it. It's got more agency, flexibility, and freedom than the Destiny 2 and Forsaken system with their interlocked perks. Feels more like D1 in terms of agency. I like that much more. From a thematic / creative perspective, it sure would be sweet if the classes had strong gameplay identities instead of some of the homogeny that has steadily emerged. No plans to look at the class homogeny right now. There are many other things to focus on, aka this was just a concept that Luke Smith brought up off the top of his head, and currently they are looking at least for the next 2 years to focus on darkness subclasses, just like I said in my video. Earlier this week there was a hotfix, and in this hotfix they actually adjusted the cryptolith lure to allow players to charge it twice as fast, and they also increased the total charge cap from 3 to 5. And like I sort of outlined in my first impressions for Season of the Hunt video, this was one of my biggest complaints with it, so it's good that they actually changed that, and should make grinding those Season of the Hunt weapons a little bit better. Also, in the update, they did end up buffing a little bit of the Stasis Warlock Melee. What they did was they made it so the projectile range was increased by 37%, and the minimum distance to cast range melee is reduced by 32%, so that way you get less instances of meleeing instead of shooting the actual melee. But yeah, those are some of the main key takeaways from that hotfix. If you'd like to read the full thing, I'll have a link in the description down below. But anyways, moving on. A couple days ago, on the Bungie Help Twitter, they tweeted out the following. Due to an issue, the Dawning Event Weekly Reset will happen at 9 AM PST on Sundays for the duration of the event. Normal weekly reset will still be on Tuesdays. Sorry if this was a little out of order, but Bungie just released another hotfix today, which did the following. Fix an issue where stasis crystals could be used to wedge oneself between a rock and a hard place, resulting in guardians being phased through closed doors. If you don't know, this was a pretty common cheese with the Salvation Grip grenade launcher, and it basically allowed you to do crazy things like kill Atrax 1 before he even goes into final stand. Another thing they did is that they fixed an issue where players could encounter a crash when emote swapping while frozen. They also fixed an issue where warlocks could emit a damage impulse using Vesper Radius without using their Rift charge. With this resolved, Vesper Radius may once again be equipped. They also fixed an issue where players could achieve solo flawless dungeon triumphs using checkpoints. F for anyone who did not do that while that was broken. Unfortunately, I already suffered through the pain when these things first came out. And finally, they fixed an issue where the settings for motion blur, film grain, and chromatic aberration would reset to default between play sessions on next-gen consoles. If you're on next-gen consoles, I highly recommend turning all 3 of those things off because they do not help with gameplay at all. One thing that come cool out of the Dawning is that the Cold Front kinetic SMG is apparently running with Dragonfly. If you don't know, apparently this is the only kinetic weapon in the game that can run with Dragonfly. But unfortunately, with Bungie being the fun police they are, DMG on Twitter came out stating that this is not intentional and the team is currently investigating. I mean, this will probably get taken away in the near future. But hey, if there's enough outcry, they might make this a possible role in the future. Now, in terms of other quote-unquote unintentional features, apparently this slipped by in a recent patch notes that I didn't notice because this was actually put in the random bug fixes section. But credit to I Have Toes on Reddit for pointing this out. The following apparently slipped by in the patch notes, and that is Nezarec Sin Exotic Helmet no longer triggers for 5 seconds after the second kill, and all buff kills are now 2.5 seconds. This is intentional, but we failed to call it out in the patch notes for update 3.0.0.1. The original functionality was a bug that was applied for 2.5 seconds twice for each subsequent kill, aka a nerf towards Nezarec Sin. Also, Necrotic Grip doesn't give melee energy on corrupted combat kills. This is intentional, and the exotic will be updated to remove the text mentioning this, even though on the original text on the website for Beyond Light when they revealed this exotic stated that it did give melee energy on kills, so Yikes on that one. But I'll let these two slide because these are pretty powerful exotics for the Warlock. And the final one that I cannot let slide is that the True Prophecy Future War Cult 120 hand cannon has been removed from the world loot pool. This is intentional. Why is it intentional? I have no clue. Take this with a grain of salt, but I'm pretty sure I saw somewhere that someone from Bungie was stating that this was because they felt like there's too many 120 hand cannons at the moment, but there's only 2 other 120 hand cannons and they're both in Iron Banner. I'm not sure why we can't have one in the loot pool, especially when this hand cannon, in my opinion, is better than both of the Iron Banner ones. Anyways, moving on, according to some JP Deathblade data mining, it appears for the total of this quest that we'll need to generate 1 billion Dawning Spirit. Now, before you freak out and think this is another Felwinter's Lie situation, I don't think that's going to be the case at all, because actually on the ship for the Dawning that you get, when you actually max upgrade it, you do get the chance to acquire Dawning Spirit when you acquire some ingredients. So this should end up ramping up in the next couple of days, but there is a possibility that Bungie could nerf this if this does end up being too much for the community. Anyways, talking about this community event, Paul Tassi did end up writing an article started speculating what the event secret grand prize is. If you don't know, there is different tiers of prizes for this community event. It seems like the final prize gift will end up being an exotic tier gift. Now, what this could be, we just don't know. People like JP Deathblade have tried to data mine it, and apparently it is just a dummy item, so they can't really tell what the actual reward is for that exotic tier thing. But at the beginning of Beyond Light, the heir apparent exotic machine gun was accidentally put into the kiosk, and then it was quickly removed, and Bungie stated that this will be slated for a future event. And so because of this, people are thinking that we're actually going to get the heir apparent from that exotic gift, and honestly that would make a lot of sense. Although the unfortunate thing is, it questions what about people who already have heir apparent. Well, I was personally thinking, what if we end up getting an heir apparent catalyst? I mean, it's featured on the actual catalyst image in the collections, and it would make sense, but take that with a grain of salt. That's just some speculation there. Finally, to end off this video, I thought I'd mention something that's pretty important and exciting for the course of year 4. In a different Luke Smith interview by Polygon, Luke Smith went on to say in this article that we actually would be getting more aspects and fragments for our Stasis powers over the course of year 4. And that will be pretty exciting because that will allow Stasis to reach that D1 level of customization, because it does feel pretty static right now. So that's pretty exciting for the future. Anyways, this was Ace Trainer John, and I'll see ya in the next one. Peace.